So, achieving your goal requires people playing full out and being fully engaged. This is what playing full out and being fully engaged looks like on the playing field. Now, is everybody going to have the talent of a Pele? Of course not, right? But your job as leaders, and what's going to lead you to winning, in other words, fulfilling on the mission of your organization, is making sure that the people that work for you are maximizing their talents. And that begins, by the way, by making sure that you're onboarding them in a powerful way, which again I'm going to speak about a little bit more. Your job is to maximize the talents of every player that you have. Now, how do we get our staff fully in the game? Now, what I want to say here, most people actually believe that employee engagement and motivation are the same, and they really aren't. And I want to distinguish those two for you. Now, as much as I would like to think that this is actually going to occur, I'm going to leave here and someone's going to say, I really know how to motivate my employees. I'm telling you right now, that's actually not what we want to do. And I'm going to distinguish that for you. So, by the way, my dissertation at Yale was on motivation. So I know a lot about motivation. I promise you I could bore you all day with theories of motivation. I'm not going to do that. What I will say is when I started working with organizations, right, it was always about, I want you to motivate our employees. And so the image that I have, right, we all remember the kind of wind-up toys, right, is of, I'm going to wind up these employees, and they're going to run all around and be motivated. Now, there's a couple problems with that, right? Because one is, at some point, it winds down. Right? So then we're in the game of having to re-motivate them. It's actually not the game that we want to play here at all. We want to be playing for a situation in which they're fully engaged over long term, and we're not having to worry about winding them up. The other issue, quite frankly, is that when we talk about motivating an individual, what are we actually motivating them for, right? Are we motivating them to deliver better customer service? Are we motivating them to be a better communicator, a better team player, a better leader? So if you're going to talk about and you're interested in the idea of motivating people, at least, for goodness sake, be clear about what it is you're trying to motivate people around. It's not just about let's go motivate our staff. Now, in contrast, right, engagement's very different. I'm going to talk about the distinction here. Now, this is a picture of my wife's engagement ring, and I promise you that it's much bigger on screen than it is in real life. So we've recently married, and I remember the first time that I gave this talk after being engaged. And I was giving my talk, and I stopped and paused, and I'm like, wow, being engaged is very different than dating, right? It's really different. Because when you're dating, right, you might wake up one morning, and you'd be like, you know what, I'm just not motivated to be in this relationship anymore, you know? And when all of a sudden you're engaged, and that's supposed to carry through, right, through your marriage in terms of your dedication, your loyalty, your commitment. Right? One of the things that I was clearly told, okay, intrusive thought. I was a bachelor until 42. And I'm fascinated by people who have both enduring and really good relationships. Not necessarily the same, right? So I would always ask people, right, that have been married for long periods of time, so what's the secret, right? What's the secret? And by the way, the number one thing that I got from everybody was compromise, right? The importance of compromising. But I remember once being in Kentucky to give a workshop, and I'd taken a cab. It ended up being a rather long cab ride, and the very nice gentleman who was driving me was around 105. And he had great difficulty staying awake. So, and I really wanted to make it to the presentation alive. So I decided that I would chat with him, which I usually do anyway, but I really wanted to chat with him again. And it turned out he'd been married for like 60 years, literally. So I said to him, what's the secret to a good relationship? And what he said was, no matter how tired you are, at the end of the day, when you come home, you've got to talk to him almost every day. So I thought that was really brilliant, right? You got to talk to him almost every day. So I really remembered that, right, as really an important aspect of being. And I try to do that, I really do. My wife often says, I wish you would greet me like you greet the dog, right? That's what she says. I say the dog was here before you. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to distinguish motivation. I see some of you shaking your heads like, yeah, I got that. So I want to distinguish between motivation and engagement. Again, they lead to very different kinds of behaviors and results in your workforce. So a quick distinction here. Motivation is really around an external focus. Okay, what's in it for me, right? What's out there for me? And it's about creating opportunities around that. It's a very short-term kind of view, right? So I'm motivated to engage in behavior if I get this, and it's about the carrot, right? It's really about self, has a very narrow kind of focus, and it's unstable. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Whereas engagement is more of really an internal focus, okay, about the organization, not about what's in it for me, about what's in it for my organization, about, again, commitment, a more long-term perspective. So engaged individuals are willing to put in the time, right, overtime, and understand it is in the long haul. Again, about the organization having a big picture, and then what I call stable. So imagine this. Imagine that I am your leader, okay? I have a very large team to manage in this particular case. I task you with a particular goal. Now, if we achieve that goal, good things are going to happen, whatever good things look like for you, right? We want to achieve our goal. And so I watch you, and everybody is working really hard. And I say, wow, my staff is really motivated, right, to get this done. And then at the 11th hour, something happens, right? You realize you don't have a piece of information. You realize that, computer system goes down, whatever it is. Now, I have two groups of people, right? I have the group of people that look at their watch and they go, oh, well, we tried, time to go home. And then I have the group of people that say, what is it we can get accomplished? Right? What is it that we can get done? That is the difference between people who are motivated and people who are engaged. Right? It's like, being on the boat, the proverbial boat, stormy weather. Right? Things are kind of rocky. The people that are motivated start looking around for maybe other boats that may be more secure or look better for them. Engaged individuals really put their heads down. And by the way, it requires having great leadership, and it requires having a clear mission and vision, so that even during foggy times, when they're engaged, they're willing to put forth that extra effort and row hard.